G'day folks, and welcome back to the Property Playbook, where we unpack real-world strategies to help you invest smarter and sleep better at night. Today we're diving into why professional advice isn't just a nice to have, it's a must-have. Like sunscreen on a summer beach really, you could go without it, but you'll probably regret it. Now, chances are you've seen some of those big property groups out there, you know the ones that flashy, glossy brochures and offering the full buffet. It's like they'll sell you the land, they'll build the house, they organise your finance, help you with your tax, they'll arrange your insurance, and they'll even manage the tenants for you. It all sounds really convenient, right? A bit like Uber Eats for property. But here's the kicker. They're clipping the ticket at every stage. And while it might feel like you're getting the VIP package, you're actually stepping into a model where the house always wins. Let me put it this way. Imagine I'm giving you advice on an investment property, but I also own the property and I'm selling it to you. Feels a bit off, doesn't it? A bit like asking a butcher if you should go vegetarian. Honestly, I reckon that kind of model should be illegal in Australia, but right now it's not. At Asciential, I take a different path. Sure, I've got the know-how to offer a bunch of those services myself, but I choose not to because I want you to build a team of truly independent experts, people with no skin in the game except your success. I'm talking here about an accountant who knows their way around investment portfolios, not just your local tax guy who files your BAS for you every month and loves a good spreadsheet. I'm talking about a switched-on broker who understands investor finance, and all the other professionals who bring the right tools to the table so you're making right choices first time, every time, no mistakes. When your team doesn't secretly benefit from steering you toward a certain property or a builder, guess what? The advice gets a whole lot better. And me, well, I'm just one of the team. I stay in my lane, which is helping you make smart, strategic, data-backed decisions. And if you don't know where to find all those trustworthy pros, no worries. I've spent years putting together a panel of rock-solid independent experts, and I'm happy to introduce them to you. No hidden gratuities, just sound advice. So that begs the question, I guess, why does good advice matter? Well, property investing isn't just about picking a cute house and hoping for the best. It's quite a multi-layered puzzle involving, finance, tax, timing in the market shifts, and occasionally there's a bit of emotion to take care of. That's why you need to have more than a gut feel and a few Google searches. You need clarity, you need a plan, and you need someone to help you ask and answer the tough questions without flinching, because guesswork is not a strategy. I've seen too many investors get dazzled by a shiny kitchen or a booming suburb they've heard about at some barbecue somewhere. That's not strategy. To be frank, it's often a recipe for regret. The difference good advice makes, well, it turns confusion into confidence. When I assess a property, I'm not just looking at the bricks and mortar, I'm assessing dozens of research metrics, like local employment trends, school catchments, infrastructure pipelines, vacancy rates, crime rates, socioeconomics, and yes, even those invisible but important things like the planned transmission towers that'll show up like uninvited guests in 5 years' time. Miss these, and you're not investing, you're gambling. One of the biggest dangers, though, I think, is falling in love with a property you've seen somewhere. The backyard might be lush, or the view's stunning, or, the vibe just might be right. But if the numbers don't work, it's a no from me. My job isn't to rain on your parade, but it is to bring the facts and figures back into focus for you. That doesn't make me, cold-hearted or anything. It just means I'm clear-headed. And that's what you need to be as an investor. Then there's stress testing. You need to be able to do that like a pro. You've got to plan for the big what-ifs. Like, what if interest rates go up 2%? What if the place sits empty for 3 months? What if you end up out of work for some reason? You need to stress test all these things into your process. And I stress test your strategy for all of that. If it stacks up under pressure, you're on solid ground. And if it doesn't, we pivot. We might plan. We might problem solve. And that might mean we hang off for a while. Risk isn't something to be ignored, folks. It's something you should be prepared for. And, to give you an example, I had a client once came to me, super keen on what he called an off-market gem in some regional town. It looked decent on paper. Good rental, fresh reno, decent price. But after I did a little digging, I uncovered some fairly serious cracks. The local economy was riding on a single industry, vacancy rates were creeping up, and key infrastructure projects were quietly being canned behind the scenes. So we pivoted him to a metro fringe area with far better fundamentals. 3 years later, that property's up 25% and delivering consistent yield. Smarter choices and solid results. Now I know you're probably wondering whether you have time to think about all that, and that's normal, to be honest. Let's face it, most people don't have time to monitor market shifts, lending changes, policy updates in real time. That's literally my job. I keep my finger on the pulse so you don't have to lose sleep or your Saturdays Googling, the best suburbs for 2025. Mistakes I see all too often, well, there's quite a few of those. When people go it alone, there are mistakes that I often see investors making, like poor loan structure that stunts future borrowings, missing tax benefits they didn't even know existed, mismanaging cash flow, that's a good one, buying in oversupplied areas that flatline. And there's always falling for properties that are basically tenant trouble magnets. Like the client I now have, who sold off both of the investment properties he had before engaging me because of rental nightmares he had. He bought in a lower socioeconomic area because the price was right, but the headaches weren't worth the deal. He didn't know to check crime rates, for instance, or community indicators. He didn't even know that was possible. Well, now he does. The bottom line, as a qualified property investment advisor with over 25 years experience, I'm here to make sure you don't fall into those traps. No hype, no sugarcoating, just straight up guidance tailored to you. Because investing isn't about buying what looks good, it's about buying what works. And remember, it's not just what you don't know, it's what those mistakes might cost. So, the big investor takeaway for today is property's too expensive and too important to guess your way through. Get advice that gives you clarity, not confusion. If you're ready to build a portfolio that holds up through market cycles, let's chat. All right, that's it for this edition of Property Playbook. If you found it helpful, give us a like, subscribe, or pop over to apginvest.com.au and book a free strategy session with me. We'll have a chat. So until next time, invest smart, sleep well, and never trust a property with more red flags than a Formula One pit stop. Bye for now.